No W-2, and the employer is gone. Have we ever run into this? New client on extension, company he was working for went bankrupt and disappeared. Gee, wow. No payroll, no W-2 was issued. Payroll was processed at the end of the year. How do I get payroll info to do the tax return? And Laura, would you like to start this ball rolling?
So the first thing that I ask the client, do you have a paycheck stub? Any paycheck stub, preferably the last paycheck stub? That can be used for the substitute for W-2. You can also get information, those of us who are lucky enough to have California clients, from the EDD up through when the quarterly returns were filed. It is possible that that business didn't file the final quarter of anything as well.
That's most likely the case. Now, what do you do, Laura, when the client says, gee, I don't have any pay stubs. They never gave me any pay stubs. I get the direct deposit every week.
There are situations where there may have been a professional payroll service that was involved. You might be able to get access to a portal for one of them, or we handle payroll in my firm. I have occasionally had employees of clients ask me for W-2s. That gets into another sketchy can of worms. All my clients are still in business when they're being asked for the W-2. But it might be, as a last resort, if you can get through in that situation, that might give you information. Or maybe, just maybe, unbeknownst to you, a W-2 was filed and it will show up on the transcript.
Now, Laura, you brought up that you would give the employee their information should they contact you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but because there's other folks in the audience here that also are doing payroll, I'm sure. What kind of procedures do you have in place to make sure of disclosure issues? Of course.
So, as the payroll provider, we will, because we're still dealing with the employer, we actually refer them directly back to the employer.
Okay.
And we let the employer know, hey, Johnny's asking for his W-2, and, oh, well, Johnny left under bad terms. Yeah, well, he still gets his W-2, and it should come from you, not from me. But if there were a situation where, let's say, a horrible situation, an employer died, and there is no continuation, there is nobody else to refer to, I have all the pertinent information about that employee. I can ask them things like, okay, what's your name, what's your address, what's your social, what's your birth date? Things like that to make sure I'm giving it to somebody who's appropriate.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, Mark, do you have your clients get an ID or a online account with the IRS?
Oh, yeah. I urge every one of my clients to get an online account for the simple fact that it's not that I don't trust my clients to give me accurate information, it's that I don't trust my clients to give me accurate information. I verify all estimates before I file returns because I can do it in a matter of moments. Log into the online account, pull up the taxpayer, look at the payment history, it's there. Wage and income transcripts because, well, I just don't trust my clients. Sometimes they miss a 1099, it doesn't get to me. There's always a way of something just sneaking through. It's a real quick check to make sure everything's done. And the latest thing I've been pushing for the last couple of years is if they've got an online account, they can opt into the IP PIN. Now, the nice part about opting into an IP PIN where you can, you get that special little code that you used to only get if you had tax identity theft. If you opt into the program and you don't like it, you can opt out. As opposed to if you get assigned an IP PIN, you've got it for life.
Okay. Now, I appreciate that information. Now that I'm going way off topic here, but that's what the show is all about, and that's fine with me. You access your clients' accounts. You use an 8821 for all your clients. You do this through your tax pro account. Would you do a 2848? What's your policy? Or do you sit while they're in your office, pull up your account, let me see what you actually have?
That's a great question. It's a lot of personal choice for the practitioner as to whether they want to take the responsibility of a power of attorney, because that does allow you to step into the shoes of the client. as opposed to the 8821 just gives you access to all the information, but no advocacy relationship exists. So I usually do the 2848s, oddly enough, I almost base it on, I don't want to say age, but level of help that's needed. And I explain that to the clients when we're going in, that I'm going to have a power of attorney, I can act on your behalf. Do you want that so that I can actually provide that service? Instead of just being able to get information and advise them, at which point I'm likely to need a power of attorney. So I kind of run both, and it depends on the client relationship.
Great. Now, Tom, I'm going to throw this to you. Really where I was going with this conversation was, what is one of the new features starting with 2020, I believe 24 tax year, that we can actually see versus transcripts on our clients' online accounts? We can actually see their W-2s now, can't we?
If we have a transcript, yes.
It'll look like a W-2 now. Yes.
Oh, you're talking about in their individual account?
In their individual
Yes.
online accounts. It'll look like a W-2, it'll
Right.
look like a 1099, it will not look
Right.
like a transcript, which I think makes a lot of sense, because how many of our clients can actually read a tax return? Much less read a transcript. What won't it have, though?
Well, the state information, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's going to be back to this other problem. So now, where are we? David, what are we going to do at this point to get this return filed?
Well, I think I would go to my FTB to get, if you can get my FTB access for the client, you might be able to access the withholdings there. FTB does post quarterly withholdings by employer on the my FTB access, and it will also allow you to verify any estimated payments at the state side that you won't be able to get through your my FTB account. And the other thing I think I might want to point out here is in the instance where someone says, well, I've never gotten a pay stub, are they truly an employee?
Yeah.
Getting paid cash under the table?
What table is this under that I'm looking for? I'm always looking for that cash that's under the table. I never seem to find any. I'm sorry.
Are they really a W-2 employee? I was thinking when Alan asked the question and said that they hadn't received a check stub, but then he followed up with the direct deposit, and I'm like, oh, they're the one where it's reported on a portal somewhere, and that gives me the clue that there's information out there. If you have portal access through the processor, you should be able to get that back from the processor.
Yeah, the payroll processor I use personally for my practice does have that portal available to my employees. They haven't figured out how to log in yet, but they've got that access.
But what if the direct deposit is Zelle or Venmo?
Ooh. Then it's not really direct deposit.
The other thing we kind of need to touch on here is if it's 2025, were there qualified tips?
Well, wait, I was going
qualified-
to. You're getting one ahead of me, Mark. It's okay. It's a good question. The average lifespan of a new restaurant is 6 months, if it makes it that long. Now we have a restaurant employer that we're talking about here. Will that open up the door to Mark's comment?
So yeah, if I've got this non-W-2 pay and they worked in a restaurant, the question would be how much of this was qualified tips? Now for 2025, we got this special little rule, the transition period that IRS gave the employers, saying you don't have to report all the qualified tips. It'd be nice if you do, but if you don't, no penalties, no harm, no foul, which put the employees in a horrible position of coming up with a number with no basis whatsoever. It reminded me, as we talked about earlier, 2018 for QBI, it was just a line on the tax return that said enter a number here and good luck figuring it out. Yeah. So this is kind of the same thing. It's wild, wild west. Throw a number in there and pray. So at this point, you're going to do a 4852 for a substitute W-2. You might as well come up with the substitute tips and substitute overtime compensation as well. So there's no way you could actually do that. However, like I said, wild, wild west.
Now,
All
Laura,
tips.
Laura, when you're doing a substitute W-2, do you do anything special on a tax return to kind of just make sure everybody's aware that we did the best we could? I mean, basically, the form's telling you that's what we're doing anyways, but is there any disclosures or anything that you'd like to put on there?
One of my favorite forms is an 8275 disclosure form. I used to think of that as the come audit me form, and I stayed away from it. Then I had a situation where I absolutely positively had to use it. And I realized, because the IRS did contact us on the situation, they didn't even know they had it until I told them, as was entered on the 8275, and they're like, oh, never mind. Then I realized, this was way long ago in my practice, I realized, oh, they don't even know they have it, but for me, it's memorializing everything that happened that I can now say real time, this is something funky going on this year, and I can charge the client for the memorialization of the item. And if there ever is a question by the IRS that could have ended up in a penalty situation, as long as I didn't say 100% of the wages were tips and there was no actual wage, which
Well, Mark, you're getting a little bit out of the way here now. Come on. You cannot have 100% tips, because then you have to think about this. If 100% were tips, who paid the Social Security and Medicare?
well, the employer does do that when
still
there's
pay.
tips properly reported.
I work for tips only. You know, me up on a stage dancing.
Yeah, okay. California does not allow that.
Well, California also asks employers to file their W-2s. So, it
In this
may not have
case,
been
apparently
perfect,
not.
but-
This question came from a California tax pro. I'm
Well,
sorry.
this is a national program, though.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We're looking at, the reality is not everybody follows the rules. And we're going
Really?
to try to help this person that comes into our office with needing help. And that's really where our expertise starts to pay off, is for someone that doesn't fit through the standard mold.